It's by Christine and the Sunshine Stampin' Co. here with you on a Thursday. We are knocking on the end of October, October 30th here, for our Paper Pumpkin live class. We have Cozy Christmas, right? Yeah. Cozy Christmas Paper Pumpkin for you today. And yes, November is just a day or two away. We have Halloween right around the corner. And wow, I cannot believe how quickly we are flying through this year. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you taking your time and sharing it with us. And I'm looking forward to diving into these holiday cards. Haven't opened it or seen what we have in store. From the sneak peeks, it looks like we've got some really great designs and some nice cards that we will be making today. So, hello to Brenda and Susan. Thank you so much for joining already. Always quick on the trigger and here waiting for us. I appreciate that. And hello to Sandy, Coy, and Marie. Thank you also for joining. So, without further ado, let's see what we've got in here. Yes, Sandy, thank you so much for liking. We appreciate everyone who takes the time to like and share and really help us spread the word about this wonderful hobby that we are sharing with you. Sorry, I am a little all over the board. I have like intense brain fog for a while, and I'm just at a loss. So I hope it gets better soon, but we will see. Okay, so wow, look at this beautiful box. So hand-stitched looking elements. We've got cherry cobbler, soft seafoam, garden green, pecan pie, and maybe crumb cake. We'll see. Good morning, all. Love your Paper Pumpkin classes. Thank you. And thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you tuning in. Wow. Okay, so I will explain these stamps in just a minute when we have the printout, but very pretty stamps. Okay, we'll put the box off to the side. Ooh. So we've got some red sequins. Those are really pretty. Oh, wow. Okay, very cool. All right, let's get it open and see what we've got. So, got 3 different card designs. It looks like we're doing 3 each of 3 different card designs. A lot of those hand-stitched elements. Okay. So, here we have our stamps. Those little like stitched stars, a silhouette star. We've got Joy, Deck the Halls, Merry Christmas, and To the World. So Joy to the World, just those 2 different stamps. We'll go through the contents in just a minute here, but the kit components contain supplies for 9 cards and 9 envelopes. Coordinating Stampin' Up! Colors include basic beige, cherry cobbler, garden green, pecan pie, and real red. We do also still have the coordinating dies that go with the quarters worth of Paper Pumpkins classes. Do you know where to buy cello bags to hold cards kits? They don't always fit in the clear envelopes Stampin' Up! Sells. Good question. I really don't, but I will see if Chris can help us with that too. So I'll earmark that. Okay, so let's go through our contents. We've got pecan pie for our Stampin' spot. Really a beautiful color. I have really been enjoying using that color. What a great addition to the color family. All right, we have some tear and tape. We have, wow, glue dots, dimensionals, and then of course the sequins as well. Okay, so we'll get these out of there. All right, so 9 envelopes. We've got the linen looking texture on the front, and then the pecan pie texture on the flap, and then just blank white on the inside. So those are cool. Okay, we'll put them off to the side. All right, this is a cherry cobbler card base with real red accents. Pretty hard to see, especially on the camera, but there is a little bit of kind of like a starburst pattern all throughout the card front. Then we have our garden green card base with a different type of stitching pattern. It appears as though it goes this way, kind of like to look like Christmas trees. Okay, we'll unpack these in just a second. I'm going to do the card bases first. Then lastly, we have this linen-like texture in basic beige. So very pretty. Obviously we've got the traditional Christmas colors, which is great. Now we have these 2 layers. Now I think the Joy, those get stuck on. Those are die cuts. This is for stamping, so we'll leave those intact. So there's 4 of these Joy. Okay, so we're gonna stamp To the World beneath the Joy, but the Joy is punched out letters. Then we have, for that card, we have this pecan pie matte. Our white-ish matte goes on the green card, and then the scalloped beige matte goes on the red card. Okay, then the ornaments, these are very delicate, not delicate in a bad way, just delicate in a careful way. These go on the green card, and then the punch out star, that actually goes on the red card. I like to prep all of the things ahead of time, so that when I get to making the cards, I can just keep barreling through it. So that's what I'll do. So if you cannot tell, these elements, and then the green elements to come, they have flocking on them. So it's a 3-dimensional element, and it's got that like soft feel to it. So let's see here, I like to. So not only is this like intricately die cut, there is also this fuzzy, soft red element to it. So we've got that, and then also on this star, which is the top of the tree, the Joy, this piece as well, this red. Now this will show better because it's red on white. Hello, Penny. Thank you so much for joining us. So that's also that fuzzy. And it looks cool because it does have that kind of like hand-stitched look to it. Okay, but I'm going to keep that stuff off to the side because that is going to be for our stamping. All right, continuing on with our punching out. All right, so again, we've got another piece of ornament that, of course, will go to the green card. Then the tree pieces, those go to the red card. This is cool. From the picture, I didn't quite put this together, but this is going to be a 3-dimensional tree, so we've got different layers. Very nifty. And then the remaining pieces are going to go to the beige card. And then we have our joy. So all of the letters to joy go on the beige card, and then this piece is the ornament topper. So delicately, just a couple little adhesion points here. I am always blown away by the intricacy of the laser elements that are included in the kits. They really, really do a great job. Hello, Karen. Thank you so much for joining. All right, one more letter. And then the ornament tops. Okay, ornaments go here, and the joy. Alrighty. Oh, I lost a piece of the tree. Okay, so that takes care of the pieces with an exception of what we are stamping. I will go ahead and do the stamping in just a minute. I do want to check I've done this incorrectly too many times. I just want to check to make sure that there's no stamping besides the sentiments. Sometimes there's little like background textures or things like that. So we've got Merry Christmas for the tree card, we've got To the World for the joy card, and we have Deck the Halls for the ornament card. Okay, so just simple stamping of the sentiments for this kit. So I am going to grab my stamping supplies. Pecan pie and my block, and I'm going to grab my water. I had, like I swallowed right before I pressed go live, and so I was choking on my words when I got started. Okay, so there are one, two, three, four, and then 4. Okay, so there's one sheet of this one and then 2 sheets of the Jumbo Joy. So let's get started with the Merry Christmas. I've always felt like the stamps have a little stickiness to them, and I learned just last month, I know I should have known this sooner, that conditioning your stamps is a real thing. I've always been like, oh, let's just stamp the stickiness off. So I would kind of stamp something like that, but you can actually take, and Chris uses her sand eraser for this, just to kind of rough up the surface, then you'll get a much cleaner stamped image. So when you get a set of stamps and they're on the carrier sheet, you can go ahead and just do them all at one time. A little bit of efficiency going there. There really is no quote-unquote correct way, or I should say incorrect way to do this. Then you're going to bring in your chamois and just kind of wash your stamps, get some of that grainy sand from the sand eraser off. Then you should have better luck with getting a nice, clean stamped image. So I've teased for a couple of months here, maybe just 1 or 2, but I've done so many lives with the kits that it feels like it's been so much longer. I've got some fun things coming down the pipeline, starting soon for my own stamping brand, which is the Sunshine Stampin' Co. So I'm very excited to further develop some of these kits and paper pumpkin classes. And I am starting this next month, which is like literally just 2 days away, In November, I've got my kickoff class, which is going to be the 12 days of crafting fun based off of the advent calendar. Okay, pause. So we need to hover, and now you get to see my hair. So thank you to everyone who has already supported that. If you have not yet, I am one order away from promoting, which is excellent and is my goal for this class. So it's 13 cards with a $140 order, or if you are a Be Happy Stamper, you can buy the kits, or of course you can buy just the tutorial as well. So a couple ways to enjoy that. It's going to be a great time. There are going to be 13 videos released for one for each of the cards. I am so looking forward to it. So such a clean stamp here. And I really did a great job centering it. So normally I used to try to not get my head in the frame, but especially like this is kind of what looks like it would be fussy cut out, so it's very particular around the curves of the stamp. We're gonna peek out my hair and my head and make sure that it gets in the right spot. So, Merry Christmas. That one is stamped. Next, we have Deck the Halls, which is going on this rectangular piece. So my goal moving forward on the paper pumpkin and the kids classes is to have some tutorials and some kind of bonus content that will give you some new ideas and some ways to kind of alternatively do the kits and the pumpkins. I just haven't had the opportunity to get that started yet. I'm still trying to work through my technology and all that stuff in my home studio. So fun things coming soon. So I see here that we've got a little speck in the E. So I'll get that cleaned out and then we'll try again. Beautiful. Such a creamy, warm brown color. All right, and then lastly, after we clean this stamp, we are going to do To the World after we stick on our joy. It'll be a complete sentiment. So we'll do that. Now I'm going to have Christmas songs stuck in my head all day, which has been the theme recently. I know, we're not even past Halloween yet. But at school, so yesterday I had art class, and 2 of my classes were already singing their Christmas songs, which I get. The kids are learning them already, so they're fresh in their mind, but they were stuck in my head all the time. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. I love making alternatives. Sometimes it gets me all stressed, but for the most part, I really look forward to it. Okay, Joy to the World. So the To the World is just tucked in the bottom. There's a straight rectangle piece. Okay, that should take care of all of the stamping that we need to do for this kit. So I will get my stamps cleaned up and out of the way. And then we will distribute the last of the pieces and we will get to making. Okay. All right. So we will pop out the Joy to the World. And then there is a little piece on the inside of the O as well. So we will want to grab that. Okay. So, I have a question for everyone watching. Have you made your Christmas card yet? I have not. However, this past week, if not the week before, Mom and I figured out what her Christmas card is going to be. We're using the Delicate Pines bundle. She loves snowflakes, always has, so we're going to be utilizing that, which is going to be very beautiful. We actually just got all of the supplies for it. No, I received one delivery yesterday and I have another one on the way. So I think it's in the second delivery. All right, so Deck the Halls goes with the ornaments and the Merry Christmas goes with the tree. All right, there we have it. That should be all of the pieces. So let's get started and see which card we are doing first. Got our Christmas tree card first. So we'll take one of each of the supplies. There should be 3 different pieces of tree. Jennifer, she's in 3 clubs to send out Christmas cards. Holy man, you've got some work cut out for you. That sounds like so much joy, though. I am a fan of spreading the love and joy, and I love seeing everyone's different Christmas card ideas. It is so nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and get all of our pieces prepped. Now, if you've done this with me at all before, you know that I'm not going to use the tear and tape and the glue dots. I will bring in my liquid glue. Of course, there are some instances in which the tear and tape or the glue dots are preferred. And actually, no, we'll be okay. So like glue dots and tear and tape are the preferred adhesive for ribbon. And I was wondering with this flockingness, but I think there's enough place for the adhesive to go, but we'll figure that out together. Good morning, Mary Lemke. Thank you so much for joining us. So we have dimensionals that are going to go strategically behind the S in Christmas. I got all of these upside down. It also is going to be used behind the star. And then the 2 bows of, or is that how you say it? Boughs of the tree for the peak. On the middle piece, we're going to use 3 centered along the bottom. And then on the bottom piece, we're going to do the outer pieces. And then up from the middle pieces. Now, we're also going to use liquid glue. So first we will start by gluing down the mat. So that will just be centered left to right and top to bottom. All right, then we are going to assemble the tree. So I'm going to take the dimensional backs off first. And then I will align some liquid glue along the top. This is where you would put your would put your glue dots if that's what you're using. Then we are going to align this on the bottom, close to the bottom, and then heading to the left a little bit more than perfectly centered. Now, because it's liquid glue, I am going to hold it for just a second or two. If it was glue dots, that would be more of an instant adhesion. Then we will grab the middle portion of our tree. Again, we'll put some liquid glue on the top here. This is just going to layer onto the next part now. We're going to butt it right up to nest in between. Okay. And then finally, the top portion of the tree. We'll put some liquid glue on the peak. Again, we're going to nest that in there ever so perfectly. And top it off with the star. The star has 7 points. So the northern pointing portion of the star is going to point up, and then there's going to be a straddle that it's going to go on top of the tree. Okay, then the Merry Christmas. So we strategically put a dimensional behind the S, and then we are going to put liquid glue behind the rest of it. And then we are going to align it in the middle of the tree, hanging off to the side. Now, I'm not quite sure how the liquid glue is going to attach to the flocking. This might be an instance in which the tear and tape would have been preferred. So we will have to find that out together. In the meantime, I'm going to bring in my take your pick tool and our embellishments. So we're going to take a large one. I struggle with that sometimes. And we're going to tuck it behind the Y. Okay, then we're going to take a small one. Yeah, sometimes I can get the putty to work really great, and sometimes I cannot. So we're going to, I actually trimmed my fingernails. If you follow me, you know that I Last time we did a kit, I was complaining that my nails were too long and I just keep forgetting to trim them. So I trimmed them, so now I'll be able to actually use my fingernails. And then beneath the sea. Now, I am struggling here to get the sequins to pick up with their glue dot. So if you run into that problem, I do usually try to like swirl it, push down and swirl it so that it keeps its adhesive, but sometimes it doesn't work. All right, so here is the first Christmas card. Now, let's see if I can show off all of its beauty. I'm a fan of that. So pretty. I love the flocking. It gives it a nice visual texture, but also, of course, it does have a real texture to it too. And I think the coolest thing about this card, and I was anxious to see if this is how they did it, so I'm very glad that they did, is all of the dimensionals. So I like that the bottom is popped up, whereas then the top of each of the sections falls down to be level right on the card base. Very, very cool. In person, it looks incredible. Now, I think that will be okay once it's completely dry. If not, the behind the sentiment is one place that I could advocate for using tear and tape. All right, so there is card number 1. We'll move that off to the side for now. All right, let's get all of our dimensional backs straight in the garbage where they belong. And then we are on to card number 2, which in this instance is the joy to the world. All right, so step number 1 is stamping. So we did that already. We'll grab one of each of the pieces. All right, so we will burnish. Bring in our bone folder. Horizontal card here, we'll go ahead and grab our liquid glue. No pressure, Mary. Anxious to see my alternative. Oh, goodness. We'll see. Got a couple ideas. As always, the envelopes tend to inspire me, so we'll see what I can come up with from that. Okay. Now we have all sorts of different pieces. So the joy gets stuck on with just adhesive. The back side of this piece has a bunch of dimensionals on it. So we'll put one in the middle of the Y, one in each of the flowers, one in the J, and then 3 around the inside. Then on these foliage pieces, one on each end of each of them. And then it looks like the rest are liquid glue and or tear and tape and dimensionals. So we will, or excuse me, tear and tape and glue dots. Okay, so now we are going to flip this over. Before I do any sticking of anything anywhere, I'm going to stick on our letters. Ah. Okay, so we will take and glue this on. Okay, I like to start on the ends and work my way in. Helps me to center everything. Okay, and then the O. Ooh. Okay. Now we are going to take and adhere these pieces. Okay, just trying to figure out exactly where they go. All right, so we are putting a little bit of adhesive through there, but again, no, there's no flocking back there. So I'll put some there and we'll put some here. All right, so then this nests down here and up there. Hold that for just a second, and then this piece nests here and there. Something like that. There's no exact science to where it belongs, but somewhere in that region. I did shimmy mine around a little bit, so I got a little bit of exposed glue that I will try to take care of. I don't want to press too hard because I don't want to tear it. All right, there you go. Beautiful. Now, this can get flipped over and then all of the dimensionals come off. Excuse me, all of the dimensional backs come off. All right, and then this just gets centered on the mat. Okay, last but certainly not least, we bring in our embellishments, and we've got 5 embellishments. So we're going to put a small one in the center of each of these flowers. All right, so I'm starting to have more problems with the embellishments. So I really need to focus on getting the back off. Okay, and then we have a large one up top here, and two small ones. Now, I must have something a little backwards because we've got so many large embellishments. And not as many small ones. So I think we are going to alternate in some instances and use the big ones more than the small ones. I don't know if they were supposed... According to what I understand from the instructions, it looks like 2 bigs and 3 smalls on this card. It looks like 1 big and 2 smalls on the first card, and then 1 big and 2 smalls on the last card. But if we do that, which I mean we will for the first set of cards, we will definitely run out of the small ones coming up on the subsequent cards. So we'll just have to see, but just something to point out. All right, so now we are on to our final card, which is our green card. All right, so again, one of each of the pieces. And as always, the first step here is to burnish. We will glue the mat on. Okay, then for this, we are looking to... Okay, so we will adhere the delicate ornament onto the ornament base. Now the ornament will have dimensionals behind it. So we've got 5 dimensionals going on this. We have 2 dimensionals going on the back of the ornament hook. We have a dimensional going on the back. So when you flip it over, it'll be the right-hand side, but essentially it goes behind the D, and then we'll put some adhesive on the other side. So now that we have all of these pieces, what we are going to do is start assembling. So the top of the ornament is this part with the stars up here. So we've got the V portion pointing down, and then this is going to flip over and go here-ish. Now it looks like we are going to, it doesn't show that we're like adhering these together in any way, shape, or form. I did just take the dimensional off. I'm going to put a piece of tear-in tape or a glue dot. I would like to hold them together before, and then I'll put a new glue dot on, or excuse me, a new dimensional. I cannot keep my adhesive straight today. Okay, so we'll flip that back over. We'll put the ornament topper on the ornament, and then I will put a new dimensional on the back. Put one there, and I'll put one over here. All right. Now we can take the dimensional backs off. We have a vertical card here. And the top of the string is butting up to the top of the card. Also, we're going to be hanging off the right-hand side just a smidge. So, I'm going to hold that at the top. And then let all the pieces fall where they fall. Then I will grab my Deck the Halls, and you know, I am going to bring in tear-in tape here. I don't know if glue versus tear-in tape on the flocking makes a difference, but we'll just try this and see what kind of results that gives. The other suggestion, according to the instructions, was glue dots, and that, well, a glue dot, and that would, of course, be fine as well. So basically, whatever adhesive you prefer or would like to use works perfectly fine. All right, flip this over, and then this is going the intention is for it to go roughly here. I think I'm going to actually pull it to the left farther. I'm going to have it halfway off and kind of hanging in that area. I'm going to lift it just a little bit though. Then we are bringing in our embellishments. We'll put a large one nestled up top there, and then a small one, and another small one down here. All right, let's clean up after ourselves. And then we'll bring all of our cards in. And then we'll get inspired for our alternative. These cards are stunning. Wow. All right, what do you guys think? Do you have a favorite? I was going to pick each one of them at a different point in time. I really don't. They're all extremely beautiful, and I like them all. There's aspects of each of them that I appreciate, and I think they're all designed very well, and I am a fan. All right, so on to the creativity, where my brain feels really flat and foggy. So this is gonna be a good one. All right, let me grab my dies. So what do we have? Love them all and want more. I know, they are so great. Susan loves the joy. I do too. So like I said, there's different aspects of each of them that I like. And at first I was going to say the joy, then I was going to say the ornament, then I was going to say the tree, and then I decided I wasn't going to say any of them because I actually really like them all. All right, keep the craft party going. So what is this add-on die kit called? Let's see. Sorry, we've got slow moving this morning. Ooh, Cozy Christmas Paper Pumpkin does have a refill available. Very cool. So does the Fall for Twal. Is that how it's... You guys, I cannot. So just got added to the Paper Pumpkin store, so that's great. Abundant Joy is the die set. Let's see if we have that. Abundant Joy. Ha! It was the last one. I mean, not... It was the second one, but I started from the... I looked at the first one, and then I started from the back. So, wow. Okay, so let's get that back in here. So it has the Joy, obviously not quite as big as that, and it's got some stitching and like a star texture in the J and the Y. So that's really pretty. There's also a tag, a flower, a bud, and some foliage. So don't know if I'm going to use them, but I do think I will use the Joy. I love the detailing on it. Very, very pretty. Okay. Then I'm going to bring in the envelope, see what we can use from that. It's got my lovely pecan pie as well as some of that linen look, which I love that. So this is basically a card front. So I could use that. I kind of feel like I might use the flap for some strips. And or I could always pull some pieces out from these. Like I could take this whole back panel and just mount this on a card front. Excuse me, I could make it a card front and mount it on a card base. So we'll see. I'm not going to compromise that unless I have to, which of course that is a very cool textured piece of green over there. I don't think I would do it for the red. This star pattern is quite hard to see, and I could just as easily use a piece of cherry cobbler, which I might. I can't see necessarily recreating any of the flocked elements. Those are pretty integral to these cards, and I don't necessarily want to compromise being able to use these cards the way they are. I love this kit just the way it is, so I'm not going to basically redesign a card that already is very nice. I'm just going to try to get some mileage out of some of the other pieces. So let's bring in our cutting devices. And we'll cut this piece free. I presume I'm going to do, you know, I might do a pecan pie if I have some down here. Ooh, I like that. And I think I'm gonna do a like top open card. So it's kind of gonna be like this card but reversed. All right, so to do that, we're cutting at 4 1/4 and scoring at 5 1/2. Pull those pieces off to the side. Now I can see a thicker mat here, I think. So let's just measure what size this mat is. 3 3/4 by, okay, so that's not equidistant, but we could do by 5. It's actually by 4 7/8. So we'll see. Obviously, you cannot add paper. You can take more paper away. So 3 3/4. Okay. We have a nice strip here. That could go on the inside. I'll probably put a basic white, I would assume, mat on here, and then I could put that strip on the inside. Okay. Then we need my other cutter. How is that? How is it that no matter how much space you have, you never have enough space? Okay. Oops, and I did not do a good job. There we go. Okay, so I like that. Now let's bring our dies back in. I wonder if I want to do a tag. I could potentially do a tag, and then where did I put my joy? Joy, 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 joy down in my heart. That's one of our school songs. All right, so I love how big and full this sentiment is. Of course, we're not going to be able to completely replicate that. But I could go ahead and I'm thinking of stamping "to the world" on the bottom of this tag and then having joy like dimensionalized above it. We could even utilize some of these die cut pieces to have some foliage around it. Ooh, okay, so that got stuck. And potentially even do some cherry cobbler in this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start die cutting pieces. Now, I'm envisioning, before I like go get my stuff to figure out what colors I want, I'm envisioning this being dimensionalized. I'm actually now envisioning that it might have a very thin cherry cobbler border around it. So let's get that out because I could potentially do a cherry cobbler border and die cut some of these pieces out of it. So let's get some cherry cobbler. 'Tis the season for cherry cobbler. And then I'm also thinking garden green. Garden green, where did that go? Garden green is right here. Okay, so I am thinking cherry cobbler for a mat. But actually thinner than this, but this is a great starting point. So let's see here. Let's trim it down. So for your reference, I ended up doing 3 3/4 by, I did go with the mat size, so that was 4 7/8. So then we're gonna cut this at 5, and then we are going to do 3 7/8. So a nice thin little border here. Oh, goodness. Keep putting things in the wrong spot. All right, a nice thin little border there, and then this is going to be on dimensionals and popped up. So I like that. But before we do any of that, we need to die cut our pieces out of this. Now, I need to decide what I'm die cutting and in what colors. So we'll lay this and this. Okay, so let's make sure that our sentiment fits on here. Okay, to the world. It fits. That's great. So now I'm thinking, not positive, but I'm thinking of doing the tag in white. And then to the world, I will stamp in pecan pie. I think the joy is going to be in cherry cobbler. And then I think I'm going to have a couple of these berries in cherry cobbler, as well as some of these ferny things in garden green. So I think I can take this mat and pull the joy and a fern, and then I'll run that through a couple of more times on here. Then let's grab some basic white and some garden green. Okay, this for sure can fit on there. And then we can get a couple of those out of there. And then basic white. Oh my goodness. Holy man. That's the big one. Not big enough. All right, that should fit there. And let's put that back before we lose a whole bunch of pieces. All right, excuse me, I just sneezed. I am battling all sorts of a lot of things. I'm gonna get some ribbon and then I got some stories to tell you. You know, I don't know what ribbon to use, but I do see this garden green and white chevron ribbon, which is part of the pre-order. I hate to use things that are pre-order. Now granted, the pre-order ends in just a couple of days and it becomes normal and available. So I'm sure that's what I will do. It's beautiful ribbon. So, and then I also brought in, this was just sitting around, the Druzy adhesive back. I don't think they are current anymore, but they need love too. So yes, I am in a little bit of rough shape these days. I actually have a hernia. I went to the doctor last week Friday, and that is what I have going on. And so now I'm trying to be very cautious when I sneeze, because I've had some moments of excruciating pain, which is not fun. Okay, where are all my cutting mats? Okay, apparently I didn't have all of my pieces. All right, let's make it happen. I don't need to be extremely particular about where this goes, but obviously I cannot have them too close to the edge because we are still using this as a mat. Okay, and then we will take and do a couple of more. I don't know how many. I'll probably start with 3. I would assume that would be enough. All right. I'm going to take a hot second to get myself organized. So let's move everything out of the way that isn't necessarily being used in this exact moment. That's going to be die cut. Okay, this is what I was talking about. So the Joy has stitching, but also in the bulbs of the Y and the J has a nice little star. Again, can't tell if you can see that or not, but so pretty. Okay, let's put that there. I don't know where I just put down the one that I just cut out. Ay. All right, we'll move those off to the side. I'm not gonna use any of the embellishments just because we don't have necessarily an overabundance of them. All right, let's get one of these cut out. And actually, I might do a second one. Let's see here. So I for sure might want a green one or a red one. This is risky and it might not get used, but it's on the inside of the mat, so it's not like I'm losing anything. So I'm envisioning wanting to offset. So we'll see how that works. Now, let's put these things off to the side. I know I want some, oh, there's my other red one. I know I want some greeny pieces, so let's get a couple of them going. Okay. Okay, pop all the pieces out. I would assume I'm going to want 2 or 3 of these, so we'll for sure do 2. And for good measure, we'll do the third one. Then I feel like I can probably put the die cutting machine away and not have to get it back out. The only thing would be if I wanted a green tag, but I'm not sure. We'll see. All right, we'll get the last of these pieces out and then we'll move the big elephant in the room out of the way. No disrespect, I love my die cutting machine. But now I'll have a little bit more real estate to work with. All right. Now, I don't think there's any reason I'm gonna want this not matted, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue that right away. Normally I glue the top piece, but because I've got so many pieces cut out of this, I'm going to put the adhesive on the bottom piece. Okay, get that on there. And then with such a small border, I'm going to need to get that nice and centered. All right, that will get lifted up on dimensionals, but for the time being, let's just start playing. So I was envisioning something like this. So you cannot see the fact that it's not a complete tag. I think the joy, oh yeah, I was gonna stamp this. What does this say? To the world. And then I'm going to have the greenage and stuff come out of it. And then I think, so obviously I could have a piece coming out of here. I might just use some twine or baker's thread to come out of there. And then I might do like a something. So before I get too carried away, I'm going to start by stamping. Joy to the world. All right, let's find the stamps. Oh, I have them out already. You guys need to tell me that. Okay, so I'm going to try to tuck it because that J really falls down. Eek, and that does not really end up working. Okay, so either that's not going to work, or I could try one thing. And that would be to separate and like kind of knock that OY down a little bit. But I honestly think I might just flip it over and have just the joy. We'll see. I've got options. All right, so first of all, I think I'm going to cut a little bit of this twine off. And put the tags together. I wonder if I want to make it a horizontal card. I think I liked it better vertical. I don't for sure know. Okay, so I want some I want something to break up this back mat. I don't know what that is yet, but I want to figure that out. And maybe it doesn't matter once I start laying some of the foliage in. I love when I start MacGyvering things and it just kind of starts to work. As in, like, I'm really impressed that you can't tell that all of my mats have things die cut out of them. Okay, so we're getting there. We are getting there. I think what I want is to stamp a little bit of this texture around the place that the tag is going to be. And I'm going to end up putting the tag down a little bit, I think. And then I also want, okay, so I'm going to start by gluing these together. I think I'm also going to open the ribbon. Come on. I don't want to cut the ribbon. I just want to open it. Okay. I'm going to try a little bit of tails. I'll bring those off of this side. I love doing this kind of ribbon stuff because I can always change my mind and just back it up. I think I like that. Of course, I need to diagonal the tail. Nice fresh ribbon scissor makes all the difference. Okay. Now, if the tag goes there-ish, let's bring out the stamps. And I'm gonna use this texture. Ooh, so now here's the bad thing. Because this mat has things cut out of it, it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge to stamp it without having weird texturiness to it, but we will do our best. Hello.
Hello, congratulations.
On?
Promoting the Bronze Elite.
I didn't even check my email this morning. You guys.
You have Julie Bontrainer to thank. I mean, other people too, but Julie's the one that put the order in
You
for
guys.
the advent calendar class.
I promoted. Yay. And I didn't check my email
I
this
need to
morning.
teach you guys to check your reports more often.
Well, not even. I mean, if I would have looked at my email, I would have seen that I got an order, but you guys, we're learning, okay? So I'm right there with all of y'all. But anyways, we are making a beautiful alternative. Come check out these paper pumpkin cards. Oh yeah.
And I have tons of them extra.
Okay,
I have like
you
at
heard
least
this.
7 or 5
You
of
heard
them.
this fresh. We've got tons of extras.
I mean,
So
5 is tons.
okay, so I'm gonna just roughly mark where this is going so that I can move it and stamp. Okay. Okay, so roughly there. Now, I don't exactly know where or how. Thank you, Jennifer. Woohoo!
She's going to my physical therapy appointment.
Okay, sounds good.
Wow.
Bye-bye. Okay, so I did first strength, second strength, and third strength. Now, where did my scrap go? Oh, you guys. Well, it was somewhere. Okay, now I also want a second strength here. Oh, I like that a lot. Okay, and then I think I want some down here. I don't know that I want to overdo it. Like, I don't want it to go around the whole tag, so we'll just go down in this corner next. First. Second. Third. We'll leave it at that for now. Okay, now let's do this. Now I'm going to put dimensionals behind this guy. How did that get sticky? Is that going to get covered? Potentially. Okay, I'm going to put dimensionals behind this guy. Whee! Okay. I should have figured out where exactly I wanted all of these foliage to go before I did this. Look at that. Okay, let's not get rid of those yet. Don't necessarily want foliage coming out the ribbon, so I can probably leave that one as my adhesion point. Okay. So we'll put this roughly there. I think I want it a little more tilty. That roughly there. And then maybe I only want these coming out up here. There and there and there. Oopsies. Okay, something like there. Now I do think I want a little more, so maybe down here. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So, let's get some adhesive on these. Alrighty. And then I'm going to stick this guy down. Which I like being something like that. Okay. Now, do we need or want more little foliage pieces? I think we're okay. So let's go ahead and get this guy stuck down. Okay, Okay, some of these dimensional backs I've re-put on backwards. So some of them are not going to come off for me. So that would be the benefit of actually keeping the dimensional backs on before you get all excited. That guy was roughly here-ish. Now, do I want a little more red? Probably. Good balance. Okay. Now, I'm going to put the whole thing on dimensionals. Then I've got my drusies, which I love drusies, in case we didn't know that already. Oh, man. So pretty. Okay, is there a started pack? Let's get all the little scrappers out of there. Okay, so we'll do a small one there. Okay, I need one more. Up there, down there. I feel like I need another one down here. No, I liked it up there, down there. We need an odd number. You guys, okay, I've always said this, I'm really bad at random. We'll call that good enough. All right, dimensionals. All right, call that good. Oops. Okay. Now, just because I'm going to put the inside in, and we are going to use a strip and use the extra die cuts that we did not use on the outside. So let's see if I can find a mat size without having to cut one. Is that even possible? My big old bag of tricks here. These all look to be smaller than mat size. Yep. Let's see here. Okay. All right, so we are going to cut this down. And what was the size of our red here? I don't remember. It was... Three and 7/8. Whoopsies. All right, we've got 5. By 3 and 7/8. And then we are going to take a strip, and I'm also going to use a couple pieces of foliage. Okay, maybe not a couple, maybe a piece of foliage. And I feel like I should probably stamp too. So it says joy on the outside. I'm gonna say Merry Christmas on the inside. Ooh, that was stuck. Yay, Merry Christmas. I'm losing my mind. Okay, now we want 2. I think I want those 2. And I want my liquid glue. All right, let's put the cap on our glue. And then we'll bring all of the fun back in frame. And you definitely could trim your wispies. Those are a bit long. I like them a little long, but that's a bit much. Alrighty, my friends. What do you think? I think it's amazing. I like when my alternative just hits. Yay! I love it. There's the cap. I knew I would find it. You just gotta keep digging. Love the alternative. Thank you so much, Susan. I appreciate it. I am a fan of it too. Gets me in the mood to make some Christmas cards. And I'm gonna put away my dies so that I don't lose any of them. Yay! Jennifer, I am so happy that you like it. So my goal with alternatives, I've got several goals, is either to rearrange something that I don't necessarily like from like a paper pumpkin kit. If there's a design that I don't like, or you know, a specific card, or even the whole theme that I don't like, let's make it something that I like or can utilize. But when the cards are so great, like I am a huge fan of all of these cards, I don't want to not use the cards. So when I make this alternative, my goal is we're gonna make 3 of this one, 3 of this one, and 3 of this one. I don't want to compromise any little bit from the fact that these cards are amazing and I want to make them. So by utilizing just the envelope and then the additional dies, we can now make 9 of these. And of course, if you use your own DSP, you don't even need to compromise anything. You could just use the envelopes with those cards. So I think we knocked it out of the park this time. I really appreciate you guys following along, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. And I look forward to creating with you again next month. So now this has wrapped up our October. We had 3 kits, so go back into the archives, you'll find 3 kits from the kits collection, and then now we have finished up our paper pumpkin for the month. So you will see me again in November. I think we have 2 kits and then paper pumpkin. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your support, and sending lots of sunshine, love, and big hugs your way.